for what they're most excited for this year. So Denton, go ahead.
I'm excited. I'm Denton Brooks, and I'm the student council president for my school, and I'm excited to lead the school, and I love leading, and I'm really excited for that, and that's pretty much what I'm excited for. I don't know what it is.
My name is Zachary Wilkinson. I'm treasurer for the student council, and this year I'm looking forward to helping out with the fundraisers and with managing all of our Spreckels money.
Hello, my name is I'm a 4th grade spirit officer, and I'm really excited to help with all the new spirit days this year.
Hi, I'm Allie, and I'm student council secretary, and I'm happy to be a part of student council because I love Spreckels School and I can help out.
Hi, I'm Ryder Roberts. I'm a 4th grader here at Spreckels School, and I'm your Green Ambassador. 2 reasons why I would like to be the Green Ambassador this year, and why I won, is because 1, I want to keep Spreckels a greener environment, and 2, practice healthy living. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Abby, the event coordinator, and I'm excited to help out with fun events.
Hello, I'm Tyler, and I'm a 5th grade spirit officer at Spreckels School, and one thing I'm looking forward to is for all the new ideas for Spirit Days.
Hi, I'm Courtney Diallo, and I just wanted to say I'm honored to be your vice president, student council, and I wanted to thank all those 4th and 5th graders for voting me and giving me this new and exciting opportunity.
Hi, I'm Jana Farr, and I'm a 5th grade spirit officer, and I'm looking forward to Spirit Days.
Thank you, guys.
And we're just missing one of our spirit officers, Sadie Barker, so I want to give a shout out to her too. So as you can tell, we're very proud of our student council, and I also look forward to all their ideas and events for the rest of the year. Thank you.
Or, yeah, I think, can we do one photo op and then let them know they can welcome to stay, but if not, now's the time.
Hey, you guys come up
Okay.
here.
Oh, yeah, no, they're not here today.
I'll stand on this side. You guys separate all the way up through the table.
Zachary, what's that screw?
You guys wanna- Board members gonna come in here?
Yeah, a little bit.
Allow me. Emily, you stand in a little. You and Ellie. Everybody ready? Look at Mrs. Wilkinson, because she's straight in the back. And smile. Awesome. Thanks to all the families and parents who brought them out tonight. I know it's getting close to showers and bedtime and all that, but we really appreciate it. And you're welcome to stay, but you're also welcome to, this is is a good time to leave if you're ready to go.
So no ASB.
Yeah, I could, I'll show why. We'll stagger them. Definitely some politicians in there.
And public speakers.
Yeah, no kidding.
I didn't say that two opposites.
See you guys. Yeah. Yeah. And we're gonna hold the BVASB is gonna go next month, kind of stagger the kids, so. Thanks, guys.
All right. Well, thank you. So we will be moving on to public comment, and so let's see. Items not on the agenda. Okay. I think neither are on the agenda. So we'll just go ahead and start with Billy.
Yes.
Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to put 3 minutes on the screen, and so you get 3 minutes.
Just go like this, and I'll be there.
And then you can gradually move away.
That's okay. Good evening. How exciting, actually, but they all left. So my name is Billy Issa. My daughter actually she went to Spreckels School, and now she's in Buena Vista. I couldn't tell you how proud I was in Spreckels and in Buena Vista for doing such a good job. The reason I'm here is not because I'm complaining or any of that. I'm just a little concerned. We all know what happened during COVID. Kids did not get enough, I guess, education, if you want to call it. So challenging for the parents, not to mention also the teacher, the online and whatnot. And 6th grade at Buena Vista, she had a great year. This is not speaking from a parent. This is just from my daughter telling me and her fellow student that the teacher wasn't strong enough. Now, we can argue that point wasn't strong enough in teaching, didn't have the right ideas. I'm not sure. I'm not here to judge again. But my daughter's in 7th grade right now, and there is no math teacher. I'm very concerned. I work for the county. I'm an engineer, so I'm a nerd by nature. So I want my daughter to have the best education. I have no problem teaching her myself the math. If I had time, I would love to volunteer my time, but unfortunately, I don't have enough time. So the concern is I would love to hear from whoever can help us out, because it's not just my daughter. It's the other student in the class. And you all know that 7th grade and 8th grade is a very critical class to lead you to high school. So as a parent, I'm a little concerned, and I hope we can kind of get together at some point to kind of raise that concern and see what we need to do. I'll be more than willing to volunteer my time, but unfortunately, like I said, I work for the county, so I'm just way too busy. So again, this is not a complaint. This is just a concern, like every other parent. So I hope we can come to an understanding or to resolve this matter as soon as possible, so they can have a good year, whether just in math or any other classes that they pursue in. Thank you very much for your time.
Steve Newman?
Hello, I'm Steve Newton. Sorry, I'm going to read right off of this because I don't want to miss any points. Hello, and thank you for your time this evening. I would like to propose to the board to look into building a perimeter fence around the BV field. It's an extra level of protection for our most valuable possessions, our children. They're our babies. I believe that during school hours, the community should not have direct access to our children. Please keep in mind, during school hours, our children are entrusted to you. The fence can also create an additional layer of protection so that the students can feel safe. I remember on one particular day, staff were looking for a dog on the field. The fence would protect against any unforeseen events like this. It would serve as a deterrent. Bad guys don't like barriers. The cost effectiveness of hiring an additional staff for security would be mitigated by the fence, so we wouldn't have to hire that we were talking about on the last meeting, having somebody. And in this day and age, we can't afford to overlook the what ifs. Please help be proactive and not reactive. I'm not sure what needs to be done, how to go and get this done exactly. I would like to hopefully start some type of committee with the board to see if this option is actually even possible. If possible, as far as like the fundraising, get the money that way, and then I know possibly with the funding from the safety money that was allocated a while ago to pay for the pets. And that's pretty much it.
All right, thank you. Okay, moving on to bargaining unit presentations. Is STA here?
Good evening, members of the board. Dr. Trollo. My name is Laura Villarengo, and I am the newly elected president of the Spreckels Teachers Association for the 2023-2025 school term. Can you tell I'm nervous? I would like to begin by thanking the Board of Trustees and the Spreckels Union School District for prioritizing, retaining, and recruiting highly qualified teachers. We did some impressive work the past couple of years by compacting the salary schedule to 25 steps, as well as continually increasing the health and welfare caps. But our work is not done. According to U.S. News, Salinas recently ranked 7th in the nation for one of the most expensive places to live. I realize you all know this because you live here too. Yet teachers and Salinas and Spreckels remain among the lowest paid in Monterey County. And we have one of the longest school years at 187 days. I believe there is only one district higher at 188 days. Time is money. With the COLA so high this year, we believe this is another and perhaps finite opportunity to fairly and justly compensate your teachers. Please strongly consider this. Keep in mind with the significant cost increase to the health and welfare most teachers experienced a pay cut last month. At Buena Vista, the situation continues to be difficult. There are currently 3 vacancies in math, RSP, and tech support. Teachers are having to sub during their preps, and we have several new teachers who need better and more support. We have a new SIS system that is difficult to navigate, and they still need some extra help with that. At Spreckels, we are continuing our work with intervention and data. We have implemented DIBELS, dynamic indicators of basic early literary skills. It is a set of procedures and measures for assessing acquisition of literary skills. It is providing us with concrete data of how we can better meet the needs of our students sooner rather than later. We start acquiring data in kinder and start the intervention process sooner now, thanks to this new piece of data. Thank you for this. This, along with Accelerated Reader and our highly successful reading program with CSUMB on Mondays and Wednesdays, we are and are seeing results. We are looking forward to our continued partnership with the university and all of these pieces of the puzzle working together. At the district level, we are going to RFEP 14 English language learners from both the elementary and middle school. That means they are reclassified fluent English proficient by the state of California. We are excited to be hosting their reclassification celebration at the beginning of December and honoring them at the next board meeting. We look forward to your continued support, as always, and we wish you a wonderful Thanksgiving. Thank you so much.
Thank you. CSEA? Okay. Board member comments?
Oh, I'm up first.
You're up first.
Just a little shout out today. I just took care of Farm Day and Spreckels rock. There's such good students out there. Couldn't do it with all the volunteers, and then I was looking at the Spreckels or the carnival, and all the volunteers there. Thank you, and to the parent in the back, Steve. Thanks for watching the kids in the morning. That's it.
All right. And I too just wanted to acknowledge the recent Fall Festival and just how many participants we had, and also all of the volunteers. I mean, it really could not have occurred without all of the volunteers, and whether it's staff, teachers, families, and so thank you. Okay, oral and written communication. We did receive one written communication from a family asking a question about the investigation. And then moving on to reports, so superintendent report.
Good evening, everybody. Believe it or not, we're at the 1/3 mark in the year. Next Thursday is the official end of the first trimester, so it's busy. Brianna's working with both school sites to customize report cards based on a new information system. It's difficult because each site has a different, well, one site is standards-based, the other one's a letter grade. So there might be some hiccups, but we'll work it out. I wanted to thank also all the volunteers for the carnival. I was in Calistoga for a wedding, but I actually missed it. I've been to like 28 of these, and there's something about them. And but I heard it was well attended and I think pretty profitable too. So, and thank you for Teresa and the other admin for stepping in. Thank you. In academics, our bridging tutoring program has begun. Students need a little bit more support. We'll meet with teachers on Tuesday and Thursdays afternoon for our tutoring. This is our last funded round, so again, we're looking forward to it. We'll have 2 phases this year, 2 10-week phases, and it's been very successful in the past. Mrs. Villarengo mentioned a couple open positions, and we're working hard to fill those, including the music position. Not having music is, I think everybody's feeling that. We are looking at every option. Last Monday, we met with the Chief Programs Officer for the Arts Council of Monterey County and brainstormed various ways to bring different programs to Spreckels. We're also going to bring a contract for Mexican folkloric dance project to keep. We're doing our best to provide the arts and music the best we can. Teresa's going to kind of elaborate on that a little later. Other than that, yeah, happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Great. Thank you. Buena Middle School?
Mrs. Bergerberg couldn't be here, so I just wanted to kind of give a couple updates. Fall sports are winding down, and it looks like we'll do very well as far as representation in the playoffs. This year we're holding homecoming games. So Mrs. Owens, our athletic director, and our student helpers, thank you. This is going to be the last home game for every sport, so it should be fun. This is the first time we've done that. They made posters that are going to recognize the kids. Also, thank you to Mrs. Colombo and BVASB. This last Tuesday was quite the Halloween festival. Both staff and students had a great time. There was costume contests, sack races, there was musical chairs, and even a staff versus student dodgeball game. And if you're keeping track at home, staff won. That's it.
Okay, great, thank you. Spreckels Elementary School.
Hi, everyone. It's been a really busy time for a lot of different reasons, so I'm going to share all the fun stuff first. We kind of rolled into all of these things just based on the dates. We started with Breast Cancer Awareness Month and wanted to honor that whole thing with the kiddos, and so we did a Real Pirates Wear Pink Day, and we had lots of pink all over the place, and then within a week we celebrated Unity Day, which is an international day to support inclusion and kindness and everybody working together. And it's a day to wear orange, so we went from pink to orange. And we also had a Mix It Up lunch, which is also a nationwide celebration where we encourage the kids to sit with someone they've never sat with before and have a conversation. And I've always done it, but we've usually just done 4th and 5th grade, and this year we started the beginning, so everybody was doing it. I had 1st graders talking to kindergartners, and kids sitting with new friends, and we talked about, the teachers did, and I did, talked about, how, ask them what their favorite, sport is, ask them what their favorite movie is, and all those, ways to have a conversation. And the reaction from the kids was pretty positive. And we also had, because October is anti-bullying month, we had Superhero Day, because we were able to bring in a new assembly called Omega Man and Friends, and the Guardian was our superhero. I know I mentioned it last time, but he was pretty cool. We had a really good 2 assemblies with him talking about how to be a hero, how to deal with bullying issues, and how to talk to each other and to grown-ups about it. And he was really good at bending steel and breaking bats and showing the power of being a superhero. So the kids loved it. And as you've already heard, we just had our carnival, and it was very successful. And I want to personally thank our PTO and all the volunteers. We have a brand new co-presidents of PTO, and they stepped up and took it over because we didn't have anybody else offer, and it was phenomenal, and we had a lot of volunteers, so it was really great. Kids had a great time. I even had to tell people to go home, which is hard. It's time to go now, but they had a fun time. And of course, we had our annual Halloween just this week, and our parade, and was really happy with all the people who turned out for that, and our Kinder Fall Festival. So it was a great time had by all. As Peter mentioned, today was Farm Day, and I also heard that our school was one of the best behaved schools that was there, so I'm very glad that you noticed that, and I'm very proud of the kids for being that way. And just had a meeting this morning with some of our parents who are going to be the teachers of our folklorical program. I'm very excited about it. We're going to start right after, at the new year, right after Christmas, and they'll be having sessions twice a week, and they'll have a K2 group and a 3-5 group. So we're hoping to get as many kids as we can into the program, and our foundation is going to support us with that also. And as Eric mentioned, we had conversation around music and fine arts, not just music. I said we'll take whatever we can get, so maybe drama, maybe music, maybe both. So we are together as a district really putting our feelers out there to find people to bring in that visual and performing arts back to our school. So we'll keep working hard on that. And the most important thing is conferences are coming up for our school. Teachers are working really hard, finishing up their assessments and grades, using the new ARI system to get all the grades in with our standards, and getting ready to meet with parents. And our goal is 100%. So we have layers to reach out to parents to make sure they all can come. And one of the things that I'm noticing that's really positive about our communication system, which is Parent Square now, is everything can translate. So parents who weren't getting the information are getting it all the time now. And Mrs. Villaringo also does a double dose for me to make sure everybody's included. So our goal is to be as inclusive as possible and have all parents come to their conferences to talk about their kids. So it's a busy time for teachers, and I really appreciate their hard work. And I know they're going to be really happy when it's Thanksgiving. So thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any representatives from SUA for PTO or Bobcat? Okay, then we will move on to business.
All right, so the one riveting fund balance report, right? So again, just a reminder, this is comparing us across the last 4 years for this past month of activity. And so what you're seeing there is what we've talked about many times now, is 18% less revenue currently in the coffers as of right now, which is to be expected given the state's situation with tax revenues. And so these will start to trail in, not anything to worry about at all, at least for this year. Looking at our expenditures, you can see that there's a slight increase in expenditures this year, which is actually showing a little bit of fiscal restraint given all the work that Andy's come in and done with facilities to get things up and going. So that's nice to see that we're kind of tracking pretty even. And so that's where we are there. You can see that slight increase from last year. And when we look at the fund balances, fairly healthy, substantial increase from last year, which is good. We're in good standing, especially going into unknown times for this next upcoming year. So that's good to know. And also, you know, going into budgeting or to negotiations and things, it's nice to have a nice, healthy position, cash position, right? So that's there. Now, when you look at this chart, if you looked at it in your things, you might look at 2024 and look at that operating deficit over there in red. That's really a reflection of, and I apologize for the phantom activity on the
I think there's a
the screen.
bug activating the touch.
That is exactly what it is. Now we have the answer. So we have a friend. Yeah, exactly. So really what you're seeing there is that reflection partly of the lower revenue than we had last year. If we had that additional 700,000 right now, you wouldn't be looking at that deficit. So we are not deficit spending, as that is actually implying right there. And then, of course, the rest of it's just those same materials. So again, all we're doing here is just looking at that slices of those pies that we have, and we'll go into more when we get into the final hiring budget revision.
All right, thank you. Any questions? All right, class configuration.
You say this every month, not much movement?
That's it.
Well, we agreed to, but we don't have a lot of people moving in or out of the district once the school year starts.
Questions? I just have a question because I know this was a topic of conversation at the end of last year, was, you know, the
Second and third?
the smaller number of classes and the larger class sizes for, was it first, second, and third?
So first was actually really good. Second and third are
Sorry,
higher.
second and third.
Yeah, are
and
higher
fourth.
than, and fourth, or higher than years past, mostly second and third. What we decided was in the spring that we hired general aid, instructional aides to kind of focus on those 2 grade levels, to kind of take some of the burden off the teachers. I'll defer to Teresa. She sees it in real time daily, so how's it going?
From getting reports from the teachers, they're very happy because the one of the general ed aides is working, not exclusively, but the majority of her day in those 3rd grade classrooms doing small group instruction, both in math and language arts, and then the other one is 2nd grade. So they're getting a lot of extra support that way.
Okay.
The sizes are big, but
Yeah.
that they said is a really big help to them.
Those are helping.
Yeah, and it's
Okay.
our plan to keep it that way, keep giving them that support.
All right, thank you. Okay, information day 2023.
So looking at the report here, obviously you can see that we're trending down, as expected, down to 888 enrolled as of CBED's day, on that particular day. So down from 918 the year prior. There's some mechanisms that prevent deleterious effects of magnitude, basically. And it's now we have the choice of this year, prior year, or the 3-year rolling average. So it helps us, but we definitely have a very steady decline in enrollment. If you can look back at 1920 at 958, and in 4 years, or 955 or something, 998, pre-pandemic to, so that's consideration, because obviously that affects our funding as we move forward. And will require, us to sharpen our pencils and really look at things, and we'll operate more efficiently. So starting to look at operational efficiency.
Well, really quick, and I see, and that's, the 888 is with 96% attendance, is that what that's
Yeah.
showing?
Yeah, so
Which
the
is
attendance rate,
Uses the rates up. That's the good news.
compared to the
Yeah.
previous year, but it's kind of
yeah, attendance
similar
is
to
better,
what's
and that
happening.
mitigates as well, right? The higher your attendance, obviously, the more higher your average daily attendance is, right?
Well, and, it's hard to go find new students to enroll, but if we have students, that 4% who's not coming to
Absolutely.
school seems like the lower hanging fruit if we could get them.
Yeah.
in
And
their
off the top of my
seats.
head, that's roughly $75 to $95 per day is lost from a
That's a
student
lot. It
absence.
adds up, yeah.
And that does add up quite a bit, so. And then that prevents us from doing, all that we want to do.
And you're going to be talking about the absences here pretty soon, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So here's your attendance summary, so you can kind of see the different categories of illnesses. Obviously, illnesses is always going to be your big hitter, but that unexcused at 15%, right? So that's an area, obviously, to address and try to see. So, especially it's gone down from last year. So we've decreased it 2.58%. But obviously, probably an area to study to see how we can improve that, and different ways to make that up. We do have, Saturday school options do allow you to recover ADA, as well as any student that maybe would benefit from short-term independent study. And so maybe they're just not calling in to excuse their absence.
And medical went up, right? Is that what that's showing?
Yes.
Medical reason actually went up?
It did, 5%.
Okay. And then, sorry, could you scroll down a little bit? Because I think there was, and then the 10%, and I'm assuming that's mental behavioral health?
Behavioral health, yes.
This is the first time, Jennifer, is it right, that mental behavioral health was actually added as its own standalone? Is that right?
No, it's been there, I think, the last year or two.
I guess now it's considered excused absence, though, right, versus before, yeah.
And you'll notice, like, some of them on this year are zero. We try to consolidate a lot of those absences and move to areas to not have a reason for everything.
Mhm.
So some of those have kind of condensed and made the other
Okay.
sections bigger as well.
Okay, so some sections may have lost, other
Right.
areas gained it, so it may kind of be a wash. Okay, but we can keep watching it.
COVID now, for example, it's just illness. So those are kind of lumped together as an excuse, illness absence.
Any questions on this one? Oh, sorry, that was just BV though, right? Was the Spreckels one?
Yeah, they're separate.
Oops. My apologies. There we go. So an even higher percentage here, right?
Yeah,
on
the unexcused.
Do you have any feedback on the reasons behind some of the unexcused, the categorization?
Normally, they're vacations. You see it higher in the middle school because any kind of visitation day used to be unexcused. We clarified that today.
This is Spreckels.
This is, yes, Spreckels.
This is Spreckels? Then I'm
Yes.
totally backwards then.
The mental and behavioral health was much higher at BV than
Mhm.
Spreckels,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
How do you
Which-
how do we define mental and behavioral health?
So that's just it's basically what the parents are
Yeah.
saying. This is the reason why it's out. It's not like they have a folder up. It's more of, this kind of anxiety or something like that.
Okay.
So it's kind of defined by the reasons that the parents are saying the child is.
Anxiety, things like that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What's item number 9? Religious health, thank you.
So maybe the unexcused is another area that we
Mhm.
could focus and see if we can try to address that.
Right.
I mean,
It's mostly trips, so we are messaging about that.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So funding and utilization profile?
Yeah, I think Michael Dodge, our not old friend, but our friend over the years. Yeah, he's from California Financial Services, and we've worked with CFS for a couple decades. They walked us through a lot of facility improvements to successful bond measures. And so in the spring, we entered in a contract with them. And Michael's here today to kind of go through what we touched on at our last facility committee meeting. And Michael, do you want to come up and kind of share what the process is? Basically, the idea is to get identify our projects that are needed and then figure out how we fund them. Is that pretty much it, Michael?
Yes. Yeah, to take a look at how what the needs are of the district facility-wise. You have things that are beyond what the staff can handle, and some of the things are reoccurring to the point where it's time to replace or fix. And so we started this process to find out what the needs were, and from there then look at different funding options that are available to you. One of the funding options that comes up as you go through this is you first start with assessing what you need, and then you go to a staff survey and find out what they think their needs are, so that you get all of their staff input, and then you go to the community, find out what they'll support. And then from there, you have options for funding. State provides some funding for facilities. It's not 100%. You're required to do a match to anything that they provide. They collect tax dollars statewide and then divvy them up based on need in different schools. That requires you putting money up to match that. And so generally that's done through a school bond to match the parts that you would match from the state. It's not something generally you can pay for out of your general fund without taking away from the classroom or taking away from salaries or staffing or things like that. So this outline that we provided here, this schedule, it goes on. If you scroll down, there's some detail. We started with meeting with the facilities committee, and then start and looking at the data that you have collected already, and then started going through. I did a walk on Monday. Along with Andy and your maintenance staff, to look at things that need to be done in the facilities and the condition of facilities, and we'll put together a report for that. I have notes that we've started collecting. And then the next step is to develop the staff survey and find out what the staff needs. Then we'll meet with your facilities committee again, and at some point, go out to the community and find out what they're willing to support if you were to go forward with a bond. School bonds can only be done in major elections. So if you decide not to do one, or the community decides not to support one, it's 4 more years before you can then address your deep facility needs. And you have things, most of your portables are in the 80s. Their life expectancy is 20 years, so they've exceeded their 20-year life. When I walked around with Andy and the maintenance staff, we looked at a lot of the delamination on the outside of those buildings. They're coming apart, mold growing under the bottoms of them in places. Andy's addressed that and it's becoming an annual thing where you have to take out the floor and redo it again, and then take it out next year and redo it again to keep the maintenance up on it enough. You have foundations under a lot of those portables that are rotting away. And it's not as simple as lifting them up, because you have all the utilities and all of the things that are attached to those, your data lines and everything. So working on those, they're at the point where they should probably be replaced. That's a major expense, and that's not something that general fund generally supports. So this gives you an outline in order to get to a point to find out where your needs are, what your options are, and whether the community supports going forward with something. As I said before, it's not something you could generally take out of the general fund without having a huge impact. So we're in the beginning steps of this, and this is the timeline that we've put together. If you were to go for a bond this next year, the major election, what the timeline would look like. Obviously, it depends on community support and board support on moving forward. If that's not the option, then you can look at how to patch it for another 4 years to be able to make that happen.
Can you explain the difference in the surveys, the staff survey, the family one, but then the community one's a little more science-based?
Yes, so it starts out with a staff survey that we'll do digitally, so we'll send an email out. It's like a Survey Monkey or one of those types where you ask the staff, and you put together questions for them so that you can decide what the needs are. And then the next is to go out and do a community survey. That's pretty scientific. There's professionals that are on the outside that's their life. They do it for campaigns, they do it for a lot of different things. And they're going to ask questions a lot of different ways. So they may say, for example, fencing around the field. Would you support fencing? And then another question may be, would you support more security around the field? So they ask it in a lot of different ways to try to get what the community is willing to support. Some people think fences creates prison impact or look, and others say, no, we need more security. And so it's just how you ask the questions, and they'll put together a professional survey from that. They'll also ask the questions. I was talking with Andy about how much the bond costs. And when we're looking at a school district, an elementary district, it's $30 per 100,000. Your last bond was about $17 per 100,000. And it's not what your value of your home is today. It's based on what you purchased it at. And that may be 20 years ago. In Andy's case, he was talking about $250,000. So he said, we look at what the cost is. So that's 17 times 3, so around $50-something. But that's a year. And you divide that between the number of months, and then some people spend more than that on Starbucks coffee and stuff than they do, and that's supporting your kids. So it's how you ask the community, how much are you willing to support to make our schools safer, cleaner, better teaching environment, more opportunities for kids? That's what those surveys look at, and they're going to determine what your support is in your community. And that's up until you decide to put a bond on the election. The staff and the district can support doing all those things. Once you put the bond on the ballot, or say that you're going for one, then it all has to be community support that does it, and everything stops from the district staffing side and from district.
In 2012, the community survey identified, I think it was 3 pillars, right? It was technology, safety, and communications.
Right.
Yeah.
And you had one-to-one technology during COVID, which many districts didn't have because of that. So while it was difficult learning environment, at least you had somewhat of a learning. There were districts that didn't have anything. They didn't have the one-to-one technology to be able to do that. So things like that. You did a lot of great things in that last bond, and spent the money pretty wisely. There are 2 types of bonds that you can go for. So there's what they call a supermajority and a simple majority. The ones that you've done in the past have been simple majority. Prop 39 bonds, which then require an oversight committee. Bond money cannot be spent on staff salaries, cannot be spent on equipment. It has to be spent on facilities. But that diverts funds that you continually repair buildings with out of the general fund that you then free up dollars in other places. So that gives you flexibility in the general fund to do other things.
Great.
Questions?
Thank you. Any
Are you the gentleman that will be writing the grant?
Writing which one?
If we go forward, you'd be the one to write the grant or the bond?
No. The bond staff that we have from California Financial Services does that. I'm on key analytics side. I was a former CBO for 25 years doing what Bernard does. Okay. I built an elementary school every year, a high school every 2 years in Manteca for 10 years before I retired. Prior to that, a couple of other districts, but I've supported and built, done bonds and built schools, and so I have a lot of experience on that side of it. The gentleman that does the bond side of it would come and talk to you when we get to that point. He asked me to go over the calendar and stuff for you. But that's his profession, so you bet. And the language that you put in your bond is specific to the tasks that you ask the community to support and for you to do. So it's not like you can spend it any way you want. It's going to be whatever the language comes out that they say that they'll support and that you have need for. Any questions or?
Oh, okay. I just have a clarification. So it sounds like after the surveys, there'll be a final report kind of your findings. And I'm wondering, I've been talking a lot for a long time about something called a master plan or something that guides us in the short term and the long term.
So there's two types of things. One of the things that we're doing is a facility assessment. A facilities master plan is generally hundreds of thousands of dollars and is done by an architect that comes in and then takes a look at all of your buildings and says, okay, this is what it would cost and this is what we designed and this is. So it's a lot more in depth. It's not, you need something that kind of tells you, here's all the problems that we have and here's a path then to fix them and take care of them. You're not growing like Manteca was at the time in the 90s and the 2000s. You're a declining enrollment district. So from the state's eyes, you have plenty of facilities to house the children you have. What you'll qualify for is money to match to fix things that you already have, what they call modernization or replacing portables and things. So it's a little different. You wouldn't need a full-blown facilities master plan. It would be a waste of your money and time. You need a facilities assessment.
Okay, so maybe it's the language, it's the terminology.
And so that's what we did last time for you. Assessed walked all the campuses, took pictures of all the problem areas, put together a plan. Normally you would do an in-depth enrollment study, but you're declining enrollment, and usually you do that when you're growing really fast and you need to know, okay, I'm growing in this area, but not in this area. I can't bus kids to here to there. So
we did do a report. We did do that demographic
So
report.
you do a small demographic, but you won't do what they would do 10-year projections and all of that. You wouldn't spend the money for that either. It'd be not in your best interest. If you were starting to grow, you'd want to know a lot more, birth rates and influx coming in and what your housing sales are and what's, new homes being built in your community and stuff. You have less of that right now, and so.
But we do have that report. I think it was last year.
It was tied to the TK study, I think.
Yeah. So, but it's something that we can utilize, right?
Yeah. You already have some of the smaller pieces based on what you have.
Right.
Full-blown master plan would be a lot of money to spend on something you wouldn't use most of it. One of the things about doing a full-blown master plan like that is that they come back and say, okay, so all of these things that need to be done. And then you look at it and go, oh, where would we get all the money to do those? One, we're declining, and two is that we can't assessed value raise that much money to. They're going to go in and say, okay, so these buildings are of this age, they need to be replaced completely. These are here, and you want to know where your hot spots are and fix those. So.
Right. No, I think we agree. It's just the language, but having this report that does have kind of short and long term plans, so that we can plan if we were to go with the bond and what would we cover versus what can't be covered now, but what might need our attention.
Right. I could share the next meeting. I could share the last. Put together.
That would be helpful.
Yeah, you've got one that Eric has. He can share, and you're going to get another one out of this. Any other questions?
Thank you for making the drive, by the way.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. See you soon.
Actually, and Bernard, before we go to the resolution, I noticed typically you have program updates, but I didn't see that in the.
I think that's in our transition of our.
I thought it might be from.
But we kind of wove them in, like the facility committee.
When you talk about the committee updates, you're going to talk about that. I figured it was the template.
We'll include them next time. The facilities, the transportation, and
food service.
Yeah.
Okay, but you'll talk about facilities.
Well, but basically, that is the facilities. That was the facilities committee meeting information right there.
Oh, okay.
In detail.
Well, I was wondering if there was an update on the CICERCO project.
Oh.
We're looking for the lab of record right now, an inspector. So they had
given us a quote for one, but then we're looking for one because we've seen the prices a little bit too high. So I'm going with a guy that we used in Salinas, ATI. So spoke with him today. He hasn't gotten back to me yet though, but he's been sent all the information for the Sesco project. And then I'm not sure what else is after that. I think it's pretty much ready to go. I'm just looking for it. He's basically an inspector, PSI concrete, connections, rebar, that kind of stuff. Form testing. So once we secure him, then we'll be able to move forward with that.
Okay. And then, I don't know, did it come up in the facilities meeting about lockers?
When you guys your walk through, did lockers
We didn't talk about lockers.
Okay.
When we did the walkthrough, you know, he's talking about redesigning the way the whole campus is. And he also did leave out the roofs. The roofs are in horrible condition. We're gonna need to start patching those. They're just, we all got up on the roof. And
Well, it's good you got up there and assessed it.
yeah, no, there's leaks everywhere that we need to take care of, so it's,
Lockers-
this school's even worse. Those schools at Buena Vista are more 1998. These ones are, I believe.
lockers might come out of the staff survey, because I think a lot of staff would voice, some would voice that
So we're thinking the lockers might hold on into this larger project, or is this something that could maybe be?
need. I think this project's talking about short and long term, right? Like things we could do with
Yeah.
existing money.
Yeah, maybe with existing money?
Well, we want to put lockers, if we're gonna redo the school, then we
Yeah.
need to figure out where we're gonna put them, where it's not gonna be
Redone.
redone
Right,
again.
right,
Yeah,
right.
I suggested maybe around the pavilion area, but that's another big
But if we change
problem
something.
we have. We need to fix that also, because of the rust and
Right.
all the other stuff there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
just,
no.
One thing
Good
on top
point.
of the other, yes.
For clarification, I think it's appropriate to say it here. The last gentleman that spoke, he spoke at our last facilities meeting.
Oh, okay.
And so that was redundant for me, but what everyone here needs to realize is they've embarked on a study already that is in progress, that is going to come back the next month and the month after that and the month after that with their findings. And we already know they're going to find a lot of things that need to be done. Again, what he mentioned, you might not have caught, you can only try and get a bond passed on general election years, which is 2024, November of 2024, so 1 year from right now. So we're on a pretty intense timeline. It's going to be January before they have any hard findings that we're going to need to act on, and then February, and then we need to file to get the bond ready, which is going to take effort by everybody to get it passed. And then I think there are stipulations on, once we go get it past a point, then I can't talk, and you can't talk, and we're dependent on people out there to talk to their neighbors and encourage them to vote. So everyone needs to kind of read up on it and figure out where we're at, because
Yeah.
we know what the findings are going to be.
Right. And the board needs to
And
decide early if the
clock's
bond.
ticking already.
Right.
So I think it's safe to say that, I don't know if I can say that or not. but-
No, I think that's perfect. No, that's perfect, Frank, because really it's the bond, the board's got to early on say that we are going to support this bond and recruit
I mean, all you
door
gotta do is-
community to support it as well.
All you gotta do is walk around the schools and realize that
Yeah.
there's a lot of deferred maintenance, and we don't have the money to do it unless we pass a bond.
Right.
So,
Yep.
that's coming.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, and I appreciate that. And I think that was new information for me. I didn't realize it could only happen during
Yeah.
the major general election.
And they recommend the presidential because of
Yeah.
the turnout.
Yeah.
You could do it during the
In my
governor ones.
opinion, we're
but-
about 1 year behind.
Yeah.
We should know right now the findings, so we can start campaigning to get it passed. So,
Okay.
but time is running.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so resolution 2324, final hiring budget.
The final hiring budget, I won't, I gave you the details so you can see all of the individual transactions, which I won't take you through on the screen. but essentially what we did here was we did some cleanup, just house cleaning, class supplies to their appropriate functions where they had been classified. We classed 39,000 of expired or expiring. It was expiring in September of expanded learning funds. We used that for summer school. So that helped cover that. Cleared up our prior year deferred revenues so that they were deferred. Now they're recognized as revenues. So that's where you see kind of that bump
Oh, nice.
that we've got. And then just cleaned up all of that. And then chewed up for vacancies. And so I think as it was mentioned earlier, by Laura actually, had mentioned 3 teaching positions total throughout the district, 2 of them at BB and then 1 more. And then there's also 4, roughly what is the equivalent of 4 FTE of classified positions, but it's more than 4, it's about 6 or 7 individual vacancies, yeah. But totaling 4 FTE. And so that's kind of, and then that's the net result, which you saw in that budget. So we did get that nice little lift from cleaning some things up, which is good going in. Like I had mentioned, with negotiations, that gives us more flexibility to be able to do some things. And we're getting ready, already deep in it, prepping for our first interim revision, and that's going to be the real big one. That's
Right.
really going to tie everything together and allow me to kind of pull all of it together.
Okay. Great. All right. Thank you. Can I have a motion for the final hiring budget revision to approve it?
Move to approve resolution 23-2410, final hiring budget revision.
Okay. And a second?
Second.
Okay. Roll call vote. Frank?
Aye.
Peter? Stephanie, aye. Steve, absent. Chris, absent. So it's approved. All right, curriculum instruction, bullying prevention program.
Yeah, the last meeting, you asked the concern's been raised by the community, but bullying is definitely something that I think we all agree that we need to have a comprehensive plan to address. We started out by Kat Flowers, the counselor at Buena Vista, surveyed the kids, and so the data basically this is within like a couple of weeks. This is really relevant. Identifying the type of bullying that exists, how many kids feel like they've been bullied, what the topics or what are the targets of bullying. So is it a problem? Of course it is, right? And so how are we going to address it? So what we did next was kind of put together all the pieces that we currently have in place and then added based on best practice. So if you scroll up. So starting with training and resources, we looked at what we are currently planning with Keenan is how would you explain Keenan?
Keenan's one of our insurance JPAs.
But they offer
What
safety
they
and
have some very good kind of best-in-class training
Right.
that we use for a lot of other areas. There's
Right,
that.
right.
And so they have a bullying prevention center, as they call it, that has some training that we can leverage. Pretty
Nice.
and then Kimball and MCOE, some of the ones we've already talked about in the last safety presentations. We're talking about building or creating a bully prevention resource page for students. That would include, obviously, our new tip line. The tip line's been very successful so far. 2 or 3 or 4 very specific things that we could address. And it's nice because it's another the set of eyes that the kids didn't realize they were out there, and those eyes are their peers who are always around there, right? So next, it's the programs, student-led initiatives and activities that we provide. A lot of these are already going on. Teresa, do you want us to talk about some of the things you're already doing at Spreckels?
We have the Character Strong program that our counselor uses for social groups and also the teachers use in the classroom. And they coordinate nicely with our positive character traits like responsibility and respect. And so it's nice. So every month we're shifting. And many teachers are using it, the program, which is great. We've pretty much do positive behavior intervention, the PBIS support as far as our positive behavior and our discipline referral system. You know, we're big on bucket filling, and we continue to do assembly activities like I spoke to during my report. And those days that we can really leverage, like Unity Day, and make it a big deal, that even the kindergartners know, I gotta wear orange because I'm being kind in their language, right, all the way to the big kids who know that it makes a difference to talk it out, figure out what's going on, and stand up for each other. That is important. So, and I really want that all to continue. The new piece for us is Character Strong, which has been, like I said, the new program, which has been really successful, and having a counselor is huge. It's huge. So thank you for that.
Come to the other areas as far as recruiting the kids to start helping at the 4th through 8th grade kids. We can provide them with some peer, conflict resolution skills. At Buena Vista, I'm not sure what grade level, but some kids put together some anti-bullying slides that were shown throughout. I guess, Christina, am I just saying this right? They created the slides, shared them in homeroom, and there was discussions about that. But they were student created, which is kind of cool, right?
Nice.
We also want to look at our policies and procedures to make sure that we are addressing everything around the topic of bullying, protocols, intervention, etc. We want to plan this came from the community quite a few times, is involve us in this comprehensive approach. So to have perhaps speakers or programs come in, talk to our parents, what to look for. Bullying's not taught at school, guys. I mean, we are dealing with students that are, it's coming from communities, not saying the homes, but we're just a microcosm of what's out there.
Right.
So we need to work together as a community to address it. Parents and families, what they see on Saturday and Sunday, that's part of this whole comprehensive plan, right? And then program evaluation. We have school climate surveys every year, but what we have through Character Strong is what you just saw, much more specific, related to bullying, which is great. Well, it's useful, not great.
Right.
Any questions?
From the tip line, has any action been taken?
Yeah, I think, so far we've had a couple situations with kids, I wouldn't say fights, but getting close, and there were consequences there. And one was actually from a community member that saw somebody, kind of a suspicious community member walking through, and so we passed that information along to the sheriff. So yeah, it's really useful. I mean, there are like 8 or so steps, but if you have the patience, you can work through it.
And our 4th and 5th grade teachers were asked, our counselor, Mrs. Santiago, gave them the steps for the tip line and some slides for the kids that incorporated, like for our kids, what to report, in the sense of, because once you start talk about bullies a lot, everything's bullying, right? So for little guys, so we have to kind of talk through that. But for 4th and 5th grade, the teachers are presenting those slides and those lessons and having a class meeting to talk it through and let the kids know how they can access the tip line and be able to use it, and how that'll work out for them. And that's kind of where we decided to start, was at the 4th grade level, to really start supporting the kids. So over the next week, they'll be getting that information too.
I don't want to assume that bullying is any more or less serious at one school or the other. Are there consequences to a bully? If I'm, Peter, he's a dork,
That's the first thing, yeah.
He's an old man, he's got gray hair.
No more examples.
Will I be reprimanded,
Yes.
or am I just told, hey Frank, be nice to Peter?
It depends on the situation, but typically, no, there's definitely consequences, and parents are notified, and there's a conversation, and sometimes they go see the counselor, sometimes they talk to me, sometimes the teacher deals with it. It depends on the severity of it. I also usually talk to the person who reported it. Luckily, if Peter told me what happened, then I'd ask him what he did and what he should do, like he should tell you to stop. And if he says, that's a big thing for me, if he says he told you to stop and you didn't, you're really in trouble. Because that really that's where.
Is there a fear of getting in trouble? Because if we keep hearing that the bullying is so prevalent, it almost seems like no one's afraid of getting in trouble for it.
I don't believe it's pervasive at the elementary level, and they don't like coming to my office when they're in trouble.
So that is a fear to get called in the principal's office still.
Well, yes. I wish it wasn't, but yes.
No, so, yeah.
I'm scared of going around.
No, we're not, I'm not trying to be silly, no. I'm very consistent with consequences and yeah, we take it very seriously.
I mean, I know the BV principal's not here, but would you say, could somebody speak to if that's similar at BV?
Yeah.
In regards to the accountability
In
and
areas
the
I can see all
consequences?
the different documentation of consequences, and yes. And it is, like you said, it ranges, depends on the action. It could be anything from verbal warning to detention to something more severe. It really depends on the incident and how many times that student's been given opportunities to change. The other part of this is teaching kids how to empower them, right? So Peter, he said, leave me alone, right? And giving kids and those who watch it a stronger voice, because that's really what, I think going back 30, 40 years, it's standing up, it's having people stand up and say something that makes a difference.
Can that be a monthly
Bystanders.
report?
Sure, it could. You mean as far as, yeah.
I agree, like keeping us updated on what's happening with.
Yeah,
with
absolutely.
this
Just kind of,
initiative.
okay.
Yeah.
Not like incidents, but more like
No.
what steps have been taken.
Exactly.
Got
Like
it.
a training happened, or we've scheduled a training, and this is what it's going to be about, the peer-based conflict training.
Note
that's happened.
to agenda, bully prevention, thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, moving on to non-Williams uniform complaints, quarterly report.
Again, this comes to you quarterly. It's basically saying there's enough books, the facilities are allowing kids to learn. It came out of some stuff in Oakland years ago when the environment was about allowing kids to access learning. So we do not have any findings, which is a good thing, or any complaints.
Okay. Committee updates?
Yeah, we kind of talked about a few. Facility committee kind of was shared with Michael. We have our next DLAC meeting on Tuesday. It's our second one of the year. Mrs. Villarengo is going to be focusing this time on,
Interim LPAC.
and so basically, at our first one, there was a desire of parents and I think students to kind of go through the test that the kids would take, kind of practice at it, what kind of different domains are going to be covered.
This is the first time you're offering an interim.
Right. And so that plus, what was the other two items on the agenda? Oh, conferences.
Conferences and reclassification celebration
Right.
details.
Right. So yeah, we really enjoy meeting, and it's last couple of years we just did trimesterally, but now we're going to meet at the parents' desire if they want to meet more. Yeah.
Yeah, about every 2 months.
And the first one, what came out was nice was topics that kind of like time with parts of the year, right? So for example, for conferences, what should you expect at the conferences? What information are you getting? What are the questions you could ask, right? We have our next safety committee meeting Wednesday, and that's when we're going to kick off the different trainings. We'll be talking about the situational awareness with Kimball. And that is it for committees at this point.
What about the equity committee?
Oh, equity committee. I connected Dr. Nunez with two existing, you're here, thank you. I had two very eager equity warriors that wanted to kind of meet and run with it. So Mrs. Villarengo and Mrs. Owens have decided to meet with Dr. Nunez and kind of start that. So yes, thank you for reading my mind.
Great. All right. Aries update?
Yeah, you asked to put this on this. Aries is a work in progress. Transition to student information systems is not easy. Bernard's gone through how many of them? And there are growing pains and there's hiccups, right? And but we're committed to hopefully ironing those things out. The first real, I think, obstacle was attendance, especially at the middle school. So we sat down with some representative teachers from the middle school and the secretary and office staff, because there was kind of not a disconnect. There were different expectations of what needed to be done by what time. So we sat down. I think we ironed that out. Next, I think, obstacle was grading, because this is brand new. So Brianna, first pass was with progress reports at Buena Vista. I get a couple hiccups, but that was ironed out. And now I think the next test will be the report cards. Brianna's been great. She's She sets up office or, up at Buena Vista during some Wednesdays, provides one-on-one training, whoever wants it. So again, it's not easy. Training, in a perfect world, we would have had 5 days off in the summer that we paid teachers to come in and train in only areas. We didn't have the funding or the calendar for that. So we're doing the best we can as we go, realizing that we're going to need to offer more training. Some people get it the first time by watching videos. Some people need more hands-on. So we're committed to doing that. What you don't hear often is how a lot of classified staff, the registrar, the secretaries, really, I think, are enjoying this new platform that gives them a whole lot more reports that they could run, right? So when you look at that as a total transition, it was a heavy lift, and we're still lifting. So
Why'd we switch systems?
the other ones, do you guys want to talk specific to the system? It was
The reason why we switched was our old system was really outdated, and it was a risk that the county brought to our attention. Right, that's the student information system is one of the first places that hackers go to because it stores a lot of student information and staff information. Right, we don't want addresses or phone numbers or social security numbers or all the things that might live inside a student information system. We know that schools are we're data rich and resource poor. I feel like I say that in every presentation I give, and so one of our, keeping that information safe is one of our biggest priorities. And if you go out on the internet, you'll see that schools are the #1 places being attacked by these hackers because of that, right? Because we don't have a lot of resources and we have a lot of data. A lot of, we don't want little kids to one day have bad credit because we didn't keep their data secure. So Aries allows us to keep data a lot more secure, and it also allows our office staff to run better reports, allows us to have better analytics than our other system has.
Are there any other, there's got to be other schools, districts using Aries around here?
I think Aries is probably the #1. Yeah, we do.
The city might use it.
So there's no shortage of...
The county office.
No, there's tons of support out there.
No shortage of people that we can call.
Right.
Staff can call.
Yes, there's, it's a huge change, and that's change is tough, so we're going through that. Yeah, there you go.
Right, no, it sounds like you said, a change is challenging, and so that training and that support is really key and ongoing.
Right, and the transition wasn't seamless because there's obstacles along the way, but we're going back and reteaching what we need to reteach, and we're committed to it, so.
Good. Well, and I think, communication, it's a communication piece too, right, with the parent square, and so I think that's a nice improvement in the system as well too, so, thank you. Substitute teacher rate increase proposal?
Did a motion first? Yeah.
Motion, please. 7.4. Second?
Second.
Okay.
So, in addition to a huge teacher shortage, there's a substitute shortage, which makes running schools very difficult. So we did a comparative study, and we were second to the lowest. And so what we did, thank you, Monica, for getting this data. So we took the averages of all, and the average was like 199 point something. So 200 seemed to put us right at the midpoint, more competitive. And so we are proposing that we adjust from 160 as our regular rate to 200, more competitive. We have great teachers, retired teachers, but they're going, I go down the street for $40 more, Eric. What do you do? So we are proposing a bump of $40, so 160 to 200, the regular rate, which is 95% of them. And then when you ever have a long-term sub, like we may have in math, for example, the rate goes up a little bit more because we're expecting more.
Is that long-term one going to be competitive?
The 215, it's, I think, it puts us, well, I hope so. we adjusted it. We adjusted the same percent.
The faces.
I think from just conversations, it's definitely more attractive.
Better?
Yes, it's better.
Okay.
So.
Any questions? Okay. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, it passes. First read for September 2023 policies per guide sheet. Can I get a motion, please?
I'll motion to move it forward.
Second?
Second.
And I will divide up and kick them out to you guys soon, so you'll have some homework. That's what you wanted.
Okay, so do we vote on it?
Yeah.
Are these the ones we saw?
These are, you just have the guide sheet, but we're going to go ahead and break up the actual
Okay.
policies.
Okay,
They'll
so-
follow up.
So we're approving the guide sheet. Okay, yeah, all right, okay. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we approve the guide sheet. Consent, is there, anybody want to pull anything from consent? Or can I get a motion to approve? Second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, consent is approved. Any future agenda items? So it sounds like we want to add an update on the bowling action.
Right. And then, please bring your calendars. We need to schedule a special December meeting. We'd like to throw out December 14th if that works, just as a placeholder, but.
Okay, because we
will-
can't do it now,
No, we
is what you're
can't, no,
saying.
but,
Okay.
we'll definitely talk about it at the next meeting. We need to schedule something probably the following week. It might be just a one agenda item.
Okay. All right, can I get a motion to adjourn, please? Second? I don't think we need a second, do we? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, meeting adjourned.